Welcome back, everyone. Today we're talking to a woman who's moved to Saudi Arabia and now she's in Bahrain. Sherry-Ann is here to shed some light on that, and maybe there are misconceptions and truths that we need to know about. So let's dig in. Hi, Sherry-Ann. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to talk to you today, and I'm sure our audience can't wait to hear about your life in the Middle East.
Hey, good morning, Lily. I'm excited
Morning.
to be here to talk about my adventures living
Yeah.
abroad.
Yeah, so first of all, for people who don't know, you actually commented on my video, I think like a couple weeks ago. And I think you said something like, I live in the Middle East now and I'm not moving back to the States. It's the safest place I've experienced, right? And I was like, wow, that's interesting. It's not necessarily what we know, right? So let's start a little bit about, where did you move from and what took you to Saudi Arabia?
I always wanted to travel. It was something I thought about for a while. And I had the opportunity. I met a friend, and so I had the opportunity to go out there and live that experience. The Middle East was the last place that I would ever thought about going to, but
Yeah.
after getting there, it was different. It was completely different, and I really enjoy being out there.
So why now? Why have you thought to move abroad at this stage in your life?
My children are grown. I've dedicated most of my life to my children. I'm a divorcee. At one point, we had moved back to Trinidad, my husband at the time, and our two children. That was not working out. So after about 5, almost 6 years living in Trinidad, I came back to the States. I dedicated my life to my children and put them through school. They went through college. My son got his master's degree. He's now married. He and his wife just had a baby in December last month.
Awesome.
My daughter finished college. She's doing well. And she's given me my first grandson that I call my grand prince. He's 8 years old now. And so after doing all of that, it was time for me. This year, I am proud to say, and I'm not afraid to say my age, because I think, if you're not living, you're dead, right? So this year I'm turning 60.
Wow.
I'm turning 60
Amazing.
this year.
You look
And
great.
Why not?
Yeah.
So now it's about me.
Sure.
And so that is why I decided to make that move and just explore different places. And I like living over there. And I feel as though if it's not in that area, in Saudi or Bahrain, somewhere in that region, I'll probably stay.
You have a backup option as well, right? If it didn't work out over there, you could come back and stay with your kids, or?
Yes, because what I did was I rented out my place. And so at the moment, currently, I'm in the States and I am staying with my daughter. So whenever I come back, I stay with her.
Yeah, I think that's so important to have somewhere where you can land.
Yes, definitely. Yes, definitely.
I think that's part of the fear of sort of, oh my God, I sold all my things, or I rented my house, I have nowhere to come back to. And it's expensive when you have to stay in a hotel when you come back.
Right. Right.
I know.
Yes. Yes. And so I rent a car. There's this thing called peer-to-peer. So I do, I have a car where another person have a car and they'll rent it out to you instead of going to a rental car company. Yeah. So that's what I do.
Kind of like Turo. There's an app called Turo.
Yes, it is. Yes. I have friends who are, oh my gosh, are you sure? Like, I can't believe you're doing this. But I'm so proud of you. You're so strong and brave to be going out there and living your life.
Yeah.
And I feel good about it. I feel good about being over there.
Yeah.
Okay,
so let's talk about the first step, right? Which is like, you're heading to Saudi Arabia for the first time, or to the Middle East for the first time. Like, were you nervous? Like, how do you prepare for that? I mean, there's so many things to think about. Like, the first thing I think about is like even the cultural shock. How do you dress? How do you all of those things.
So yes, I was extremely nervous the first time I was going out there. I was dating someone at the time, and we still are, and engaged actually. He invited me out, and of course I was extremely nervous, and I decided, well, okay, I'll go. But up until the morning, I was really nervous because I didn't know what to expect, right? You're
Yeah,
going on the
yeah,
other side of the world.
yeah.
So what I did was I had my brother and I share locations just in case
Oh my God. Oh wow. Well, that's
anything
smart though.
happened to
That's
me.
smart. Yeah, you should do that regardless when you travel with someone close to you. Yeah.
I also took a picture of my passport and
Uh-huh.
I sent it to a girlfriend of mine and I said, "This is my passport just in case. You never know." I didn't know what I was walking into,
Got
right?
it. Got it.
Yes, I trusted him, but at the same time, I still wasn't sure what I was walking into. And so, and I called him up and I said, "I'm not sure if I want to do this." And he was very understanding. And he goes, "I'll be disappointed if you don't come, but I understand." So
Wow.
later on, all flights, they leave out of Dallas and they leave at nighttime.
Dallas
So I,
Airport, Virginia.
yes.
Okay.
hmm So I had the time to think about it. And so finally, during the course of the day, I went to work that day and I said, okay, fine, I'll go. And got an Uber and got myself to Dallas. And with my heart pounding, I was like, okay, I'm venturing out. I said my prayers, I was venturing out. And the flight was about 12 hours, 12, 13
Wow.
hours.
Yes, it's quite far. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So depending on the airline that you use, from Dallas to depending on where you're going. In my case, my first time, the stop was in Abu Dhabi. I
Okay,
think it was
yeah.
Abu Dhabi. Yes, for the connecting flight to Dammam. No, I did not. I've never been to
Oh,
Riyadh. It's a totally
oh.
different area of Saudi Arabia.
Okay, so Abu Dhabi to Dammam. Okay, that's like on the East Coast. I looked up where it is. That's interesting. It's like a coastal town, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a major city on the East Coast. Okay.
And I think it's part of like in the area of Koba, Al Koba. Yeah.
So, okay, so you get there, and I mean, were you dressed any particular way, or did not matter?
No, I was not dressed any particular way. I was not sure if I'm supposed to wear a abaya. That's the whole
Ah, yeah.
dress that they wear. And but when I was there at the very beginning, because I've been there several times before, this was my first time. So after that, I realized I didn't have to wear it. So the first time going there, I did wear an abaya once you leave, once you're going into the town. So I would cover up. I didn't necessarily have to cover my hair, but I did wear an abaya.
Oh, so your head
So
is covered? The head part isn't covered
hair,
completely?
no, mm-mm,
Oh, okay.
no.
Just your clothes. Just it's
Yeah.
like a black robe. Okay.
It could be any color, but
Oh,
mostly a
okay.
lot of people, yes, it can be, but that's their usual attire, the color. Most 99% of the people are wearing black.
Wow.
The younger generation, on the other hand, they're a little bit more liberal, I would say, I guess, and they'll have different colors, and it's a little lighter than the heavy black one
But
that they
still
wear.
abayas. So, and then underneath they have their whatever clothing they have for regular.
Yes. hmm
Oh, and that's like the
So
whole time, right? Evening, day. Okay.
all day, all the time.
You get used to that? Like how did that feel?
Well, the first time I put it on, it was okay. It was not a problem. I was not hot or anything. It was in April that year that I went there. The first time I went was in April.
Yeah.
And the weather was good because the temperatures can go up really, really high. But
Right.
that time, their summers start like about May. So the time that I was there in April, it was not as hot. So having it on, it was not too bad. But the next time that I started going, I realized that I didn't really have to wear an abaya. As long as you're wearing long sleeves or appropriately dressed. So what I did was I got a lot of long sleeve shirts
Oh, I see.
and pants. And so as long as your body's covered, you'll be okay. As a
Oh,
non-citizen,
as a non-Saudi. Got it.
yes, exactly. It's okay.
Got it.
Now, you cannot wear or you should not put on like a dress or anything like that and go like that. They will not allow you into the malls.
Wow.
They
Yeah, so
will
it has
turn
to
you
be
away.
loose and just long sleeve, and then you don't have to cover your head either.
No,
Interesting.
you do not.
So
Yes.
you get there and you're obviously like getting to know Dammam. How long did you live there and what was it like? What are the pros and cons?
So the first time I went, I was only there for about 10 days.
Okay.
So it was
Oh,
culture
I see.
shock. Yes. The first time I went, it was culture shock, just seeing all these people and the abayas. So that was culture shock for me. Now I'm used to it. Now that I've lived
Interesting.
over there for a while, because I'm back in the States right now,
Yeah,
visiting with my children, I'm used to it.
you're used to it. But at first, did you think like I cannot live around this? Like this is not. Because I mean, you're originally from the Caribbean, right? You're originally from Trinidad, and
Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh, awesome. I've always wanted to go there. So like going from that, from Caribbean culture to, even though you lived in the States obviously for a long time, to that is pretty extreme. Like, and yeah, especially the clothing part of it. But maybe it's something we just unnecessarily think about too much.
Because yes, because that's their culture, right? So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
we're this is something they've been doing for hundreds of years. So whereas I'm gonna think about it as like, oh my gosh, aren't you hot under there? Um, just to be transparent, I'm menopausal, right? So the heat,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just to add one more layer, yeah.
and so I'm trying to take things off, and here they're putting things on, and I'm
Right.
wondering how are they feeling. So I've always wanted to have a conversation with them, with somebody,
Was
you
it
know,
possible?
native, as you would say, just to find out,
Uh-huh.
what it's like and, reasoning behind doing it. And some people say it's cultural, some say it's the religion. I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah,
That's what I think.
yeah. And you were able to have these conversations with
No,
people? No.
not gotten brave enough to I
Yeah.
did I did talk to one person. I had gotten was getting my eyebrows done, and I was talking to someone. She's from Palestine,
Uh-huh.
and she was saying because I said, the reasoning behind all the dress, and she says because men look at you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, but are they really though? Are they really paying attention to all of that? She goes, yeah, they look at you, so you have to cover up so they don't look at you.
Interesting. So, okay, so let's dive into like the everyday sort of, what was your impression? You've been there, I guess, back and forth before you moved. How many times did you go before you moved?
5 times.
5 times. I think that's so important because I think that there's this impression that you just get up and go somewhere. Some people are
Mhm.
able to do that, but
Yes.
not everybody. It's so
Right.
important to see places before you make a decision. So 5 times. And what did you like the most about living there?
I like the people. Um,
Okay.
I have not. Yeah, they don't bother you. It's safe. It's very safe living over there. Very, very safe. You can walk the streets any time of the night. No one bothers you at all.
Wow. So
Yeah.
even how did you feel as a Black woman? Because there's always this perception of like, the Black women are not generally treated well in the Middle East. There's this perception, and I guess not the ones that are privileged like us, but probably more sort of um, the African women who go there for work and stuff. There have been so many cases and stories just in the news, and you know how the Western news is.
I have not personally seen anything. I have seen black and brown people like us over there. They are citizens and also the Africans, people who come across. There are a lot of Africans, there are a lot of Filipinos living over there. I have not seen anything personally that I can talk on.
Okay, great, yeah.
What I know is I see people freely walking around and
And
no one's
the service is good, and you're treated fairly, and
absolutely, absolutely. I have not seen anything to, raise eyebrows of any kind.
okay.
Um, the service is really good. People are very attentive to your needs. I joke all the time because let's say there's a particular area you go into and somebody services watches,
Okay.
right? In the West, you'll have a watch store, but you're not going to see a lot of them. Over there, they're going to be like 10 of them right alongside each other on a strip. So you can pick which one. The level of trust that goes on there. For instance, I took
Uh-huh.
my iPad one time I was visiting. I took my iPad. I was having an issue with it,
Okay.
and so we took it to one of these guys on the strip. There's no big store or anything. They're just out in the open. They were going to hold on to it to get it repaired.
Sure.
I'm looking for him to give me a receipt. And there's no receipt to be had for the most part. And
Yeah.
so
Oh,
my
wow.
friend says to me, "You kind of insulting him by asking for a receipt
Because,
because it's on a trust level.
wow.
So you can give them anything to work on. No one's going to steal it.
Incredible.
And when you go back to get it, they know who you are. And
Wow.
so they know
So
what item you left there and they're going
they
to get
don't
it
even
back to
take
you.
your name down or anything?
No, they know who you are.
Wow. Okay. All right. Yeah, that would take getting used to coming from the States. Yeah.
So I was like, "Can I have a receipt?" And so he found a piece of paper and gave me a receipt, give me
Yeah.
something
I mean,
because I was asking for it, but they really
yeah.
don't do that. Now
I
I'm
would
used to it,
say,
so I don't ask for receipts anymore.
yeah. I would say that sometimes still happens in the Caribbean. Like in some places, there's like no receipt. It's kind of like you know each other. You know somebody, but it's usually somebody that everyone knows is a trusted sort of, yeah, business
Can I
person.
give you a good example of the trust when coming to the Caribbean people? Years ago, I went to get what we have as roti, right,
Yeah.
at this store in Langley Park.
Mm-hmm.
And so they only took cash. I only had a credit card. I didn't have any cash with me.
Oh,
The guy doesn't know me. It's not like somewhere I go on a regular basis. And you know what he said to me? "That's okay. Whenever you're in the area, just bring me the money."
I love it. Yeah, that still happens. But that happens in the States. That's awesome. That's really awesome. You went back and forth. Were there any challenging bits to it? It was maybe the weather, maybe something else. I don't know. Maybe what's the cost of living like?
So the weather, as I mentioned earlier, they have what they call winter season, which they're experiencing right now. From about September, they put up signs, "Winter is coming." And I laugh because I'm like, really? Winter is coming? How
Yeah,
cold is it possibly get? You
yeah.
know? But remember, you're in the desert.
In
So it
the
does
desert.
get, yeah, so it does get pretty chilly. Now, I say chilly, not cold, cold.
Mm-hmm.
The temperatures can drop to about 55, let me say about 55 degrees early in the morning time. But during the course of the day, it heats up and it will get to about 80. Sometimes it might not leave up, the entire week could be about in the 70s, like mid 70s, like about 77 degrees.
Okay, that's nice. Yeah.
The sun comes out and it's really warm.
And what's the cost? What's the cost of living there like? Is there any sense you can give us in Dammam?
You can get things relatively cheap. The cost of living is pretty low to me.
Yeah, for Americans. Yeah.
Yes, for Americans. Yeah, it's you can do a lot.
But then at some point you decided to go from Dammam to Bahrain. Now, I was looking up the distance between the two, and it actually seems to be like a causeway, right? Is
Okay.
there a causeway that you can actually drive from Dammam, Saudi Arabia to Bahrain, which is pretty amazing. I didn't know that. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that. How far is it, and how did you end up going to Bahrain?
On the weekends, I like to say Bahrain is where all the good Muslims go to be bad.
Where all the good Muslims go to be bad. That's funny. Right, to party and whatnot.
Yes, the
Thought it was
party. It's like
Dubai. Yeah.
kind of like Dubai, but it's closer than Dubai.
Ah, got it.
It's like a mini Vegas.
Gotcha.
So their work week in the Middle East is from Sunday to Thursday.
Sunday.
Yes, from Sunday to Thursday because Friday is the holy day.
Oh,
That's when they go to Juma, they go to the mosque, to
okay.
the masjid.
Okay.
That's where they go. And on a Friday, just like Christians,
Oh,
we go on a
yeah.
Sunday, right? Or if you're a Seventh-day Adventist, a Saturday. Their holy day is on a Friday.
That takes getting used to if you're working while you're there. I mean, that means
Yeah,
you get Friday, Saturday off.
exactly. And you're back to
Interesting.
work on Sunday. And it's a little getting used to because even though I don't work when I'm there,
Right.
just the mere fact that you're going
Yeah.
off to work
On a Sunday.
on a Sunday. So you will find any given Thursday evening or very early on a Friday morning, everyone in Saudi, for the most part, is heading to Bahrain. The causeway is about 30 minutes drive
Oh, wow.
from one end to the next. So depending on how far you're going, it might take you about a
Yeah.
45 minutes to an hour,
Yeah.
depending on where you're going into
Wow.
Bahrain. But you go through immigration, customs every single time. So you always have your passport. A visa is on demand.
Visas on arrival. Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay. So
you
every
can
time
buy
you
a
go, you get a
visa.
visa?
No, you can buy a visa for
Oh,
a certain amount of time. And so
oh,
every time you go, you have to show them
okay,
your
okay,
passport.
okay.
Yes. Yeah. So we're always going over there. People are always going over there. You go to the clubs, you might go have a
Wow.
drink because Saudi is considered a dry country. So there is nothing there. So you go over there and you have a good time. You just enjoy, just
Oh,
hanging out. I usually would go because then I don't have to have on a long sleeve shirt or pants. So you want to wear a short skirt,
see,
a
that's what I
tank
was talking
top,
about earlier. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Right, right.
You want to whatever you want to wear.
Yeah.
It's easy to live over there. It's easier to be there, so you can be freer. You
Yeah.
know, um,
Got
but
it.
the citizens there, the Muslims, they're still going to be covered up. But the majority of the people, for the most part in Bahrain, are expats. So
Interesting. And is it more expensive over there? Like, tell us, like, how did you go from like saying, no, I prefer to be there in Bahrain?
just the freeness of the country,
Okay.
yes, and it's beautiful. It's an island.
Yes.
It's an island. They have about 1.3 or 4 million people, I believe,
Okay.
over there. Yes, and it's an island that you surrounded by water everywhere, and
Mhm.
it's just very beautiful.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I used to hear a lot about Bahrain back in the day. A friend of my
Mm.
mother's used to live there. Interesting. So they have beaches and you can
Beautiful
swim in the sea
beaches.
and yeah.
Hmm.
Nice.
Yes, yes. The military is over, the base is over there as well. There's the
Oh,
U.S. military base that's there.
got it.
Yeah. So there
Oh,
are
so there's lots of Americans. Yeah.
Lots of Americans over there.
Lots
And
of
I've made,
African Americans as well. Yeah.
absolutely, I've
Yeah.
met a lot of them. Hmm.
And would it be somewhere that folks can consider as digital nomads? Like the internet is great. The spaces are great for that.
Yes, the internet is great. What they use a lot for communication is WhatsApp.
Yeah.
WhatsApp is the main source of communication. They call through that. Everybody messages
Okay.
through WhatsApp. Hmm. Yeah.
And so what do you do like day in, day out? What's I mean, to the point where you decided to move there. So like what made it the decision kind of, I mean, other than the fact that you're engaged, but also what else is there to do like day to day?
Lots to do. I've met up with some people. We've became really close friends, and one
Really?
is yes. I met a lot of people. A lot of Indians are over in Bahrain. People who've been living there for 40 plus years. I've met people there who we've become really close, and one of them actually, I'm going to Trinidad for Carnival this year. Um, and
Awesome.
one
Wow.
of them is joining me, and she's actually from South Africa, Indian descent from
Oh,
South
okay, okay.
Africa,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and she
Wow,
lives
that's
in,
amazing. Wait,
yeah.
like, I found it so hard to make real friends when I was in the Caribbean. I mean, I had very good people around me and stuff, but it was, and so I'm really impressed that like you quickly made like close friends that's to travel with. Like that's pretty unusual.
There was a time in my life where I found it really difficult to make friends, but as you get older, you say, well, whatever, you just go talk to people.
Like I was saying in my other video, when I lived in the Caribbean, it was very it was very kind of like divided, you know? It's not
Mm-hmm.
like obvious, but it's
Mm-hmm.
layers of social strata and like and for me as a journalist, I had friends from all segments of society because, they were either like folks who worked in tourism or all the way up to government, so I knew a lot of different people, but it was very sort of you had to be only with one group.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
only hang with the rich people, or you hang with the middle class, or you hang with the working
Yeah.
class. It was like
Yeah.
very like that.
Yeah.
And I found that very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if that's different from where you are.
It's almost sort of like that, but it depends on where you are. And so I was
Yeah.
able to penetrate and, and it's, so I'm in this group called Menopausal something in Bahrain.
Oh,
And
awesome.
so there are meetups,
Okay.
right? So we have
Okay,
these
okay.
meetups.
I like that. Yeah.
And yeah, and so you get to meet with
Okay.
other people. We go to the mall,
Yeah.
you have tea,
Yeah.
and then you have conversation, and then you form relationships
Yeah.
with them.
The expats, right? They're mostly
Yes, a
foreign
lot
foreigners.
of
Yeah.
people from the UK. Yeah, a lot of them are from the UK and different parts of the world.
Yeah.
So we come together once a month and just talk about women issues.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, women issues. So that's how you build relationships. Also, in Saudi Arabia, I met a friend through Facebook in a group called Blacks in Dubai. Just like how you and I connected,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
connected with her the same way. I reached out because I saw that she lived in Dubai at one time, and now she lives in Saudi Arabia. So I
Wow.
reached out to her knowing that I was going to be there to ask her, where she's
Yeah.
located. And so we've become really good friends. And through her, I met other people, a lot of expats.
Oh, wow. Who were in Bahrain?
And they're in Saudi.
Oh, when you were
They
in
live
Saudi. Okay.
Yes. And so there's a group and so they have meetups as well. And they're all
Got
expats
it.
from all parts of the
Yeah.
world.
It's so much better now. It's so much more connected. Yeah, that's great. And I take it in Bahrain, it's even more like normal, like in terms of like you as a woman or you as a black woman. Like you're
Yeah.
treated normally, like no discrimination and no weird encounters.
My two friends actually that I have, they're both Indians. One was born in Bahrain,
Uh-huh.
but her family is from India, who's been living in Bahrain for more than 40 years.
Right.
My other friend, she's also Indian, but she was born in South Africa.
Now she's been living in Bahrain for about 20 years now.
Yeah.
And she's making the trek with me to Trinidad
Okay.
and Tobago because we're going over to Tobago
Oh,
for a
I'm so jealous. I love.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to exploring
Awesome.
that with her.
Yeah, it seems like it's a very sort of multicultural, multi-diverse kind of region.
Very much so.
Interestingly.
Also in Bahrain, there's a lot of Filipinos as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, probably for like job work purposes or whatnot.
Exactly. They're working in home care. A lot of them are at the hotels. The building that I live in, they come in it's like they treat it like a hotel. So once a week
Oh,
you
wow.
get they call it flats. You get your flat cleaned once a week.
Oh, that's included in the rent? Or wow.
And it's for everything that you get there, beautiful, beautiful flat. And then you have a pool in the building. You have a game
Yeah.
room. Everything for just over $1,000.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what we
Still packed with value. And then there's the cleaning
Yes,
included.
and then the cleaners included. Hmm.
That's pretty amazing.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
pretty amazing. What about shopping for food and things like that?
I was just about to touch on that. So there are lots of grocery stores, as I mentioned before. Something with the Middle East, they like to have close proximity of a lot of things.
Uh-huh.
So anywhere you go, you can walk just a short distance, and there's another grocery store. They're like really, really in close proximity of one
That's funny.
another.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I can walk there. I walk to the grocery store and walk back. Yeah.
I kind of like that. It's like you don't have to go to, if you need something from another grocery store, you don't have to go across town.
You
That's
do
kind of
not.
smart. Yeah.
Everything. You know what?
I think that one of the reasons that happened is because, and for instance, in the malls, every mall for the most part has a grocery store. This is because before 2018, women could not drive. All right, women were not allowed to drive until
Saudi Arabia.
2018. Yes,
Saudi Arabia.
and
Yeah.
right in Saudi Arabia. And so what they did was every mall had a grocery store. And so instead of, if we go to the mall, we might say, okay, then I have to go to the grocery store, I have to go here. So they put everything in one place.
Wow. Because they couldn't
So
drive.
so they could, right. So when you have a driver taking you somewhere, they'll drop you off at the mall or the grocery store and you can do all your shopping,
Everything in one stop.
everything in one stop.
That's
And
wild.
yeah, and so that still happens. So the
Yeah.
grocery store is in part of the mall. Driving in Saudi Arabia is very crazy.
Oh, really?
Very.
They drive like they're drunk.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
They drive, they're like no rules. Like there are no rules.
Wow.
They cut you off.
No
a
way.
a lane, they'll make one lane, they'll have at least three cars in that lane.
Oh, wow. What's that about? I thought that was only like, in some other regions. The driving's crazy.
Driving is absolutely maddening. It's people don't
Wow.
have respect for
Oh, wow.
lanes, and they will go from one end to the next. If you're on the right side and you want to go left, they just go.
Sounds like the Dominican Republic. I love the DR, but yeah, it's crazy there. The driving is insane. It scares me.
It scares the heck out of me all the time.
And then they're not even drinking. That's
And
interesting.
they're not even drinking.
That's really interesting. I also went to Georgia, in Eastern Europe, and we had an interesting close incident there where going back to the airport, like leaving, and a couple of guys were just crazy drunk, pissed drunk, driving on the highway, and kind of like, hit us a little bit, and then they just were going like this, and we were like, they're gonna kill somebody today, like, and no one was doing. I mean, there was no police, no. And then someone said to me, this is part of what it means to be a drinking culture, because they're very much into wine and stuff. And it's like daily, it's a daily thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's so true. I hadn't even thought of that, but that was scary.
It is scary for me. The driving in Bahrain is not as bad. They'll drive fast. If I was to drive, I would drive in Bahrain.
Okay.
Saudi, that's being suicidal.
Wow. No, that's very good to know, though, it's good to know. I realized after the DR that like I need to live in a place where I feel fine driving. It's so important. I cannot just not drive. And I could not drive when I was there because it was just except short distances because I was so afraid. And it's almost every other day, literally.
Yeah.
You obviously don't work while you're there.
I want to. I'm doing an English course right now out of the UK online, so I can teach English, whether it's in a classroom or privately.
Okay.
So that's what I'm doing right now.
Okay, great. There's probably a need for that over there. Yeah. What would be your advice to Americans who are considering moving abroad?
Well, obviously, the first thing I would think that they would do is do your research. Right? As I mentioned earlier, I'm in this group called Blacks in Dubai, and you see a lot of people asking questions about moving over there. They go to Dubai and they're like, I'm in love with it, and they want to get there. But the first thing you want to do, make sure you know what you want to do, have your qualifications, and do lots of research. You want to visit if you can afford to. You want to go there and live within the realms of the culture, get involved in the culture, and just dive in there and just immerse yourself with the people, and make sure that's something you want to do. In regards to living in the Middle East or the UAE, you have to understand also the weather, right? So
their extreme heat times is between May and September, October. It's extremely hot.
Over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, right?
100 degrees, yes. I might say 100 degrees, but then it's that feels like.
Sure.
It feels like, and when I tell you, it will say it feels like 117.
Wow.
Believe me, it feels like 117. And that's,
I bet, yeah.
not exaggerating. So be sure that's what you want to do. But living there, I like it. I like it a lot. I like the people. I like the cleanliness of the place. One of the things that we Westerners don't have is what they have a lot over there, even in public restrooms, is the bidets. The mall, and you go to the toilet, as they will call it.
Yeah.
They're washing up because the call for prayer is happening, because you'll hear it over. You'll hear the call for prayer everywhere. It's outside. You will hear the call for prayer. And everyone is not going to prayer per se.
Right.
Some stores will shut down. And people go to the toilet so that they can clean up and they wash themselves. And, because you cannot go to prayer without cleaning yourself.
Yeah, sure. Do you think you'll live there for good?
I like living on that side of the world. It's easier. It's more relaxing, so
Is it your forever spot though?
I love Bahrain, actually.
Yeah,
so if there's anything I can do Bahrain, going to the UAE, Dubai, it's very, very busy. And I would not have a problem going over there for, a little getaway, or Qatar, Doha, where, in September I went to Qatar. That was really nice. And being in that side of the world, you can travel anywhere within reason.
Yes, it's a good location.
It's a very good location, very good travel. You can go anywhere. And it doesn't cost a lot of money either.
What is the one thing that perhaps you now know is not true, that perhaps you were hearing when you were living on this side of the world about the Middle East?
So there's wars all over.
That there's wars all over. Right. Interesting. It's one big war. Yeah. The media is very good at making us feel this way. Yeah.
Yes. And that's not what's happening. I have not seen any of that.
Thank you so much, Sherry Ann. We really appreciate that you came on to shed some light on living in the Middle East. It's definitely not a region that I would have thought of living, but now I feel kind of like I maybe want to go and check it out, especially Bahrain. I know I've heard a lot of good things about Bahrain in the past.
Yes, definitely. Go out there, check it out, see what it's like. It's, it's not what you hear. It's really different. People are going about their business as usual. And thank you so much for having me on. I really do appreciate this.
Gotta go visit. Now I know someone in Bahrain.
Listen, definitely come out. I will take you around, and you would love it. You would love it.
Feeling, yeah.
You would love it. So definitely connect with me, and let's make it happen.
All right, let's
make it happen in 2025.
I'm all about making the most of life these days. So, like you.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Sherry Ann. What's the most surprising thing to you about what she shared? Share in the comments below, and make sure you hit the notification bell. Every Sunday, 9 a.m. Eastern, is a new video coming your way with lots of value-packed information on travel, tourism, and all things around it. Have a good one, guys.